Power Rangers Cosmic Fury Episode 6 actually has some good points and some bad points, and I'm going to talk about it here, so let's jump straight into it. A good point is the fact that I really love the Zords flying in the evening stroke nighttime. It looks really cool, and the way that the desert is there, it actually stands out, and that sort of stuff I love seeing being more creative, because it's just a different thing than, oh, here are the Zords, and that's it. They've just formed out of nowhere. So seeing all the Zords fly about, perfect. Really liked it. It was a really nice shot. A good point, even though I think it could be considered bad, is the fact that we see a Megazord fight and we have new combinations, which I don't think they have earned. It feels like they've not earned it. So it's more like, oh, hey, here we go. But what? Like, I really wish it felt like they earned these things, even though I know they have access to everything. Like, they could have formed the Ultra Zord straight away if they wanted to, or the biggest Zord ever, but I just feel like it's not earned, considering all the other past seasons. They've earned it, and it just feels, for this one. But it's still a cool fight, so it does get a good point. We move on to a bad point, and the fact that Solaron doesn't actually get kind of checked on as they're kind of repairing. So her and Billy have teleported out. They're fixing the ship because the ship's engines are overheating. They're drawing too much power. And what do we get? Well, we get the fact that Solaron actually gets kind of taken and Billy doesn't hear anything. Considering the roar that we heard at the very beginning, you think that Solaron could have shouted out and Billy could have run off to kind of like fight or contact the other Rangers. So I feel like this is a bad moment. But moving into a good point, Zato uses magic to search for Solaron and actually finds her, which again, I thought that wouldn't have cost a lot of magic, etc, etc, but apparently it does to make Zato start fainting. That does lead into the bad point on this one. I feel like Zato fainting every single time magic is used, it feels kind of like, oh, okay, you know, why use it? I know he wants to find Solaron. We kind of see that any type of magic that he uses just flows out and he has to rest to recharge that energy. So effectively, Zato could sleep for such a long time and he would get the same amount of magic back. But yeah, him fainting, I just kind of thought that maybe this wasn't a high level spell to use. This was a basic spell. Now, we do kind of move on a little bit later on in this episode, and I love the fact that Izzy and Zato are giving Ollie sass when he teleports down to the planet because he's found them. I really like the fact that out of everyone right now, Izzy is the only one that gives him proper sass to anything that he does. So kudos on that one. I would have liked it from the others, but Izzy is the prime person to give out that sass. Sassy Izzy, I love it. Now, I have talked about this in previous videos. This is the bad point, and this is one thing that really gets me in the episode, and it's probably because Jacqueline doesn't actually have that much direction or was given any. So what am I talking about? When Fern teleports into the cave to find where Solaron is because they've located her, it looks like she's just standing there waiting for direction. Like, don't pose, don't move, just stand there while we kind of film around you. And it irritates me to the point where she could have taken a stance back because she's seen the worms. She's seen the eggs. Like, even when the worms go for an attacker, it just feels like it's very wooden. And compared to what we've seen of her already, this sort of scene really doesn't sit well with me. And I just get a little bit kind of bored for it. It's not until she actually turns into the Orange Ranger for the first time that she's a bit more animated. And that's what I generally really like. I just kind of feel like they could have told her with more direction, but they didn't, and that's the thing right there. So that is a bad point when she teleports in. But then we have a good point where she becomes an Orange Ranger. She becomes the first full-fledged Orange Ranger that is in the series completely, and I'm all here for it. I really like it, and it's nice to see a brand new Ranger coming along. The next good point in this is the fact that the Rangers are being beaten. I like seeing Rangers being beaten because it just feels like there's a bit more. You can't always have that good, positive fighting. No, you have to have some losing. And I like the fact that the Rangers are just getting their asses handed to them, which then equals a good point. Another good point right now is the fact that the Rangers are fighting. The Rangers have joined them and everyone is there. I absolutely love seeing Billy fight. It is fantastic. And it's something a little bit different. So every single time that I saw him fight, it made me go, I can't wait to see what happens next. We have Fern busting in and actually defeating a scuttleworm, so it's nice to see that she's actually getting some sort of fighting straight off the bat. Again, Power Rangers know how to fight all the way, must be their suits. So after the fighting is gone, the Rangers have cheesed it, they have left. Another good point is we get Ollie blasting a hole right through a scuttleworm, which I was in shock, like, oh my god, what? Holy hell, like we've never seen anything like that in Power Rangers. If we have, let me know down below in the comments, but seeing something like that for the very first time, oh my god, like I know we've seen people being impaled, but actually seeing a hole through a monster's chest or stomach and you're able to see the person on the other side. This was pushing the boundaries a little bit and I absolutely loved it, and I hope we get more in the future. We actually finally get to see Heckle. Heckle is fantastic in this. We actually get to see the actor play the character and I really enjoyed it. I am so glad that he's back. I'm going to give this a point as well for being good. We see that Hovey makes a dad joke, and it's something that we don't normally see. We haven't seen that much for a while. So this being probably the first or maybe the last time in Cosmic Fury was a good one. So it was a nice thing to hear. I'm giving that a point. So far, it's all been wins so far, and we're carrying on with the fact that Zed says the line that no parent should say, and it's, I'm not angry at you, I'm just disappointed, which sends Ollie into kind of thinking, only because he's asked Lord Zed if he's happy with him, and Lord Zed says that famous line, and Ollie takes it on board. But I think what gives the cake to this entire thing is the last part, and that is the fact that Zed is talking to Ollie all about, like, you know, you've got to look after yourself, you know, the strongest survive, and that's all it's about. And I really like this interaction because to me, it feels like Lord Zed's being a father figure to Ollie and telling him things that he wants to hear. I really liked it. The camera angles were worth it as well. They really kind of worked well and kind of added more to the story. So for me personally, I absolutely loved this. Thought it was one of the best parts of the episode, even though that we've seen Fern as the Orange Ranger and a hole blown through a scuttleworm. Again, wouldn't thought I'd say that in a complete video. And with that, I am gonna leave it there. What are your thoughts on this episode? And I want to say a big thank you for you watching this video, for you being here. I really do appreciate it. And if you want to help the channel out, hit like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. Check out the Patreon or the channel memberships. I am going to leave it there. Thank you very much for listening and watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. I want to say a big thank you to all my Patreon supporters, and I wanted to shout out Kimona Cat, Kira Stanada, Micah Baldwin. Your help goes a long way to help support the channel, and if you want to help support the channel, the links to my Patreon and channel memberships are listed below in the description.
あらあら、チャンネルをサポートしてくれてありがとう。チャンネル登録、高評価お願い。以下のリンクから商品を入手することができるよ。